order to be wealthier, you have to work on the wealth that you have now and allow it to continue to grow like a snowball. But if you're not even working with what you have now, how are you expecting that idea to bring in money when you don't even write it down? You haven't even taken the idea out of your head and put it on paper, but you think you're going to become a millionaire tomorrow? You think you're going to double your income tomorrow? You don't even look at what you have and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in order to elevate in this job. These are the skill sets that I need, or this is what I need to do to be more intentional with my money. You're not even taking yourself serious. So take yourself more serious and believe that God has great plans for you. Welcome back to the Such a Woman podcast. My name is Dale Pasco, and over here we like to explore womanhood and femininity through the lens of faith. So if it is your desire to become the woman of your dreams and to glorify God at the same time, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your bell notifications to know when I post weekly. So you want to be wealthy, but you don't know where to start. Let me help you out. First things first, I want you to know that you can chill out. You can't be trying to juggle and introduce 20, 30, 40 different things to your mind. One thing you will constantly hear people say is that there's power in consistency. But when you're a woman who hasn't yet built that consistent muscle up, it is doing yourself damage when you're trying to introduce 20 to 30 different new habits at the same time. Stop feeling like you have to put so much on your plate to prove that you are a woman of wealth, and simply find one or two things that you want to begin implementing today. Maybe you just want to work on telling yourself you're beautiful. So instead of trying to tell yourself you're beautiful, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym, run around the neighborhood, meet with your girlfriends every week, balance your notebook, change your wardrobe, change the way you're speaking, learn a new language, all in the same day. Say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to begin with simply telling myself that I'm beautiful. I was someone who struggled with becoming consistent for a long time. I would try to do so much in one sitting, in one day, and because I was not a consistent woman yet, it was so hard for me to honor the things that I was putting in place. And so the Lord told me to start going to the gym, and what He wanted me to do was walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. And He would tell me, walk on the treadmill for those 10 minutes. Don't try to do an incline, don't try to speed up, simply go to the gym, get out the car, and walk on the treadmill. So I would go to the gym every day for about a month and simply walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. I didn't do anything else. I wasn't trying to lift weights. I wasn't trying to do backflips in the corner. I wasn't trying to meet people so we could work out together. I went by myself and simply walked on the treadmill. And that is what began to jumpstart my consistency. You want to start with that one thing that you may want to work on today and stop trying to do everything else, because the truth is you're burning yourself out trying to juggle 50, 60, 70 different things when you haven't even learned how to juggle one thing. Stemming from that, wealthy women honor what they say. You know, a lot of times we're thinking of how can I make more money and how can I live in this house, but work on becoming a wealthy woman internally first. In order to do that, you have to honor your words. If you say you're going to be somewhere, make sure you're there. If you say that someone can depend on you, make sure you are a dependable woman. If you say that you're going to get something done, then make sure you do what's necessary to get something done. You cannot expect other people to trust what you're saying when you don't even believe what you're saying. And in order to know if you believe what you're saying or not, look at your schedule, look at your goals, look at your plans, and see if you worked on even 75% of what you've written down. Have you even written down what it is that you want to accomplish? That will show you if you even honor what you have thought of. And if you haven't started working on the goals that you've put in place, you don't honor your words. And it sucks to honor the words of other people more than you honor the words that you put in place. For instance, if you work a 9 to 5 and you wake up for that job every single day, you're honoring the vision of someone else. So how much more important is your vision? And I'm not saying that you need to quit your job right now or anything like that, but I am saying, okay, you have a goal right here. So what is something that you can do to start getting that goal jump started? Because wealthy women don't allow their ideas to just stay dormant in their head. They they find a way to make that thing a reality. And first things first, they write it down and then they put a plan in place. And once that plan is in place, they start moving on it. This is a huge one. Stop trying so hard to do it for them. What do I mean by this? If they told you that you would never be anything, your motivator should not be their voice. You should not be going to school because somebody said that you would never be able to do it. You should not be losing weight because somebody called you a fat little turkey. Now, it's possible that that was a push to get you in the gym, but if it's their voice that is your greatest contributor as to why you need to get it done, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. After a while, that voice isn't going to hold weight, or it's going to lead you to sabotage if you're not getting the results that you want. So you have to find a better motivator. Find your why, and don't let your why be because somebody told you that you can't do it. It's possible that you have people that don't like what you're doing or don't think that you're going to do anything. So you have to make sure your voice is a positive force and not adding to their negative comments and sentiments. For example, thankfully my support team is amazing and it is great. It is large. However, if I know that there are negative voices in my life that don't wish me well, I'm not trying to prove anything to them. I don't care if they saw me finish school, not finish school, if they saw me drop weight, pick up weight, whatever. My driving force is because I want to glorify God and because I want to be proud of myself. So I do the best to honor what I say I'm going to do. Now, there are still some things that I need to work on. Absolutely. We are all still a work in progress, but do not make excuses and don't allow other people to be your driving force. It has to be something greater, because if something happens to that person, then what is your driving force? This is a huge one. Just as you have quarterly goals or yearly goals and you go back over those goals and look at how far you've gotten along and things that you can change or things that you should keep, you should be doing the same with your relationships. It's possible that you are in some outdated relationships, and because you're in those outdated relationships, it is taking a toll on how far you are allowing yourself to go. And so you want to take inventory on the relationships that you are connected to right now and see if they are helping or if they're hindering, or if you simply need to create and establish new relationships. Wealthy women are not afraid to connect with different people and to put themselves in different rooms. It would suck to know that you could be so much further along if you simply gave yourself permission to open a door to a new room. Every time you're learning to become wealthier, you are going to need new relationships. So you need to figure out, what relationships do I need in this season? Because relationships are like doors, and every door leads to another room. And you want to make sure you're in the room with the right people at the right tables, having the right conversations. Which takes me to this. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Underpromise and overdeliver. And this takes you back to honoring your word. If you know that you have not been too good at being consistent, stop trying to do so much. Make a promise to yourself that you know you can keep for this time being until you're able to give yourself a greater promise that you can work towards. It's okay to say, okay, listen, I have not been consistent in the gym, so I'm simply going to show up at the gym every day. Maybe it's possible that you drive to the gym, but you don't get out the car. So your promise to yourself for the next couple of weeks is simply to drive to the gym and get out of the car and walk around the gym, or possibly go sit in the sauna. Maybe that's your promise to yourself. But don't say, hey, I know I have not been consistent in showing up at the gym and getting out the car, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out the car and I'm going to start pushing weights. I'm going to be flipping the tire up and down the grass trail. Don't do that. Like, stop trying to do too much. Do something that is reasonable so that you can actually honor what you put in place. Because the more you tell yourself you can do something and you don't get it done, you start seeing yourself as a liar and you don't think that you're going to do anything. So then you just go cold turkey. That is why you give up so quickly, because you're trying to do too much. Stop feeling like you have to do everything at one time. And remember that everything is built piece by piece, brick by brick. It doesn't have to all come together at the same time. Get around people who are doing something with their life. If you notice that you're surrounded by people who have had the same goals for the last 10, 15 years, shoot, the last 3 to 5 years, the last year, none of your friends have met any of their goals, you need to get around some new people. If you notice that you're around people who have no drive and nothing has changed and they're always making excuses, I'm sure you're doing the same thing. And you can think that you're making so many moves, but you're not making anything. One of the biggest ways we deceive ourselves is by thinking that because we're watching videos like this, or we're listening to podcasts, or we're writing things down, that we're actually taking major steps. And I'm not saying that they don't play a part in the things that we do, but honestly, it's like a pebble being thrown in the ocean. You have to get moving. And if you realize you're around people who have not been moving, I'm sure you haven't been moving either, because y'all are still in the same nucleus. Don't be afraid of leaving people behind. As much as it's no fun that you have to leave behind your best friend from kindergarten, it's possible that that best friend has been your biggest hindrance. Say for instance, you moved out of your hometown and you went back to your hometown and you noticed that those people are still doing the same thing. How many times have you been like, dang, y'all are still here? You don't want that to be happening in some of the relationships that you are entertaining. If it's a bad boyfriend, or maybe you're working at a job that is dead end and there's no growth, then figure out what you need to do to get some movement happening in your life, because nothing in your life should be stagnant, nothing should be stale, nothing in your life should look dead. Everything should be living. And if things look like they're dead in your life, then that means you need to let that dead stuff go in order to make room for the living things. Which takes me to this. Give yourself room to grow. Taking inventory of your life is getting rid of dead relationships or dead things so that other relationships can come in and be cultivated and to ultimately grow. Looking at jobs that have not been working is saying, okay, this is dead, so I need to get in a space where I know that I can grow. Looking at how you have not been honoring your word is saying, okay, I have to cut out these dead habits so that I can pick up some that are living, so that I can give myself room to grow. So a lot of times we think that we don't have enough. We think that we don't have the right connections, or we don't have access to the right connections, when really we simply just haven't done the work to build a new connection or to work with what we have. In order to become a wealthy woman, you have to be a better steward over what's in your hand now. Your relationships, your mind, your body, your money, your sleep schedule, your habits. What are you doing with what you have now? It's little things like that that we think aren't a big deal, but a woman of wealth takes care of her health. A woman of wealth takes care of her mind. How are you tending to your mind? Are you feeding your mind junk? Are you listening to raggedy music that is talking about killing people and being a hoe and sleeping with multiple men? Are you making excuses for living a raggedy life? Are you downplaying the life that God has given you? Are you tearing yourself down? Are you acting like you'll never be anything? What are you doing? Are you trying to do too much at once because you're trying to prove things to people who aren't even doing anything with their life? What are you doing with your mind? What are you doing with your mouth? What are you doing with your time? Work on becoming wiser. Work on honoring your word. Work on taking yourself serious. Work on realizing you are a wealthy woman. Work on knowing that it's possible to live a wealthy life. Work on yourself first. That's the greatest thing you can do. Because listen, I know how it is to tell myself I'm going to do something and not get it done. I know how it is to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be over here, and you don't do any of it because you really don't believe it. And so I really want you to take the time to work on believing, work on trusting, work on knowing, work on being set and settled in what God has said, so that the ebbs and flows of life don't come and steal the wealth from you. In order to be wealthier, you have to work on the wealth that you have now and allow it to continue to grow like a snowball. But if you're not even working with what you have now, how are you expecting that idea to bring in money when you don't even write it down? You haven't even taken the idea out of your head and put it on paper, but you think you're going to become a millionaire tomorrow? You think you're going to have $100,000 tomorrow? You think you're going to double your income tomorrow? You don't even look at what you have and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in order to elevate in this job. These are the skill sets that I need, or this is what I need to do to be more intentional with my money. You're not even taking yourself serious. So take yourself more serious and believe that God has great plans for you. If you need help, I want to invite you to the Jumpstart of 2025. Every year, I avail myself to whoever wants to jump on this call to join me at 5 o'clock every single morning in December. We read a book. This year, we're reading The Breakthrough Code, and we will be fasting for 21 days. I believe 2025 is a year of breakthrough, and I believe we're going to see so many things from the Lord be made manifest in our lives if we know how to steward well over what He's given us. So if you need help taking your time seriously, reclaiming your time in the morning before you give it to your children, your husband, your job, then join us at 5 o'clock in December every single day. You can find more information in my description box, and I pray that you do the work to live as the wealthy woman that you already are. As always, I am Dale Pasco. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and remember, you are her in real life. See ya.